Okay. Hi, I want to welcome everyone. My name is Vivian Shimoyama. My company is Growth Small Business, and I've done work for over the many years supporting small business owners, advocating for them, and also getting resources for them. And I'm also on the board of the Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion. And we have a webinar series that we've started to help get resources to small business owners, especially in our underrepresented and underserved communities. And so this is the fourth of a four-part series, but you can view all of them independently on our website. And the website is lbcei.org. And so today, you're going to get a real treat and also some great resources because Terrence Payne from TMM Enterprises Group is going to be sharing with you not only his expertise in sales, but also really how to go out there and prospect for the best clients. Also taking you through the steps of his years of experience in sales. And I just have to tell you, Terrence and I have worked together over the many years. And, he's like one of those people that when you go to an event with him, he lights up the room. Everyone knows him and they really want to talk with him. And that is exactly what you want on your team or leading your company as you move into sales. So let me move into just one housekeeping piece, and that is for question and answer. We'll go for probably about 45 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on how many questions there are in the chat. But you can do questions either in the chat or in the Q&A section. And as Terrence is presenting, please put your question in there. Then we can answer them at the end. He really wants to get through all the material for you. And as I shared with you at the beginning is, he's got great expertise and many years in really building resources and sales. And so we want to make sure that he can share all of that with you. And then we will go through the Q&A at the end. Okay, so please put that in the chat. And I am going to turn this now over to Terrence. Terrence, thank you so much for being with us and supporting Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion and sharing your expertise. Take it away.
Thank you, Vivian. I appreciate you, and I also appreciate the opportunity to work and collaborate with the Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion. Today is, it's a great day, and every day is a great day, especially when you're talking about making sales or either identifying where your sales can come from. Of course, it's probably one of the most stressful pieces because without sales, and if you don't sell something, there's really nothing that's going to happen in the business. And we all know that it takes revenue to keep the doors open and keep the phones ringing. With that said, we're going to really narrow this down in a very focused way. We're going to talk about the new sales environment, and basically that's a discussion, just a couple points. The other point that we're going to cover is the customer first culture. That's one thing that should be built before you actually start to incorporate customers or go out, try to identify customers and attract them to your business, is first develop a culture within your organization. The third will be identifying and mapping your customers. Where are the customers located? And fourth, the closing thoughts and comments. So it's a very concise, very succinct presentation. However, there are some things that we do need to cover initially, and that is on the next slide. And by the way, folks, you'll understand that and can come to know that I like joking. I love having a lot of fun. And I want you to know that that is the first thing of sales, because you're not selling the business, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself, and you want to make it fun for people to buy from you and not so much it's so stiff and rigid and structured. Just have fun with it. First is the customer culture, and it's called the customer first culture. And if you can, we can go to the next slide. Customer first there's a credo that we must have and must establish within the organization, and especially if you're in sales. First, learn, then define. Active listening is number one. You have to be a very good listener opposed to a great talker, because the customer, and if you have the open-end questions, and what I mean by open-end questions, the who, what, where, when, how, why, you'll uncover more about the customer in ways that you can actually help them. Share readily. Always be willing to share and be transparent with your customers. There's nothing that should be hidden from them other than your revenue, okay, and your purchasing price, if there is one, or how you manufacture it. Solve, don't sell. You're a solutions provider. Don't sell a solution, present the solution as an option to solve their problem. They're coming to you because they have a need, they have a desire, or they have a want. And whatever that is, you must solve that and must bring it as a solution. Deliver value. That is key. Why should they do business? Why should they establish the relationship with you? And long after the deal is signed, how do you then continue to deliver the value? And most importantly, overall, is earning trust. And that takes time. So I stop right here at this particular slide. If you can go back just for a second. I stop here because without trust, you don't have a buyer. And if you're not willing to apply the time into building that trust, it's not a slam dance. This is not fast dancing. This is a slow dance. This is a two-step when you're in sales. There are some quick deals, but this is truly a two-step, and that's the way that you build a trust. And we can talk about some of the customer trust methods that I've used with my customers, because I work with a lot of government agencies, very difficult customers to buy products from you, very difficult because of all of the stringent requirements and of course the protocols. However, trust is always there. If we can go to the next slide, please. The customer first. You're not trying to do what they call a shotgun approach, okay? You don't want to do a shotgun approach. You're not looking for everyone to be your customer. Let's be realistic. Let's be very realistic, okay? 3/5 of the sellers said they always put the buyer first. 3/5, okay? So a 60% of that, they always put the buyers first. However, less than a quarter of the buyers say the sellers always put them first. So there's a disconnect between the person that's selling and the person that's buying. And that's why that trust has to come into play, because you trust people. The people you trust, they put you first. The folks that you don't trust, you know that they really don't care about you. So to sum that up, 60% of the salespeople are saying that they put the buyer first, but only 24% of the buyers agree with that assessment. So there's a definite disconnect. So we have to focus on keeping the customer first. Next slide. Customer identification and mapping. Important point. 20% of your target customers represent 80% of your volume and revenue. It's absolutely true. You have 100 customers, I can promise you 20 of those customers are going to be regular customers. The other 80% are not. They're just fly-by-nights or either just casual buys. However, there is a process that's in place, and I believe it was covered in the previous components and elements of this series, of the training series, and that's with social media marketing. Because you do want to take that 80% and make conversions through that, because of course it is a very cost-effective way of converting those that are on the fence into long-term customers, or even just to create the dialogue to where they're still interested in you and you're building that trust. Identify the key 20%, and that's where we're going to go next. One customer should not represent more than 15% of your total revenue. So if you have one customer that represents 50% of your revenue, I highly recommend that you go find 15 more customers so that the revenue income, it balances out. Because if you lose one customer, the business is shutting the doors. However, there are customers that are going to be recycled. I've had customers for long term, and then they fall off the books, and you may not do business with them for a year or two, and then presto changeo, here they are. They're back again, and they're going strong again, just like they were 2 years prior. So you want to really focus on in the sales game of not putting all of your eggs in one basket. 15% of your total revenue source should only come from one customer. So you need 15 great customers to make a whole. Provide more services with less effort, and we'll go into that, and you'll see that in the closing remarks. And then, of course, diversify your customer base. And I'll be very candid with you. And we're all grown, we're all adults here. When you do not diversify your customer base, you've already put restrictions and limitations on yourself. No limitations as far as when you diversify the base as far as ethnicity, gender, economic class, any of those variables that may come into play. You want to diversify. You want to be with everyone. You're like the deacon of a church. Everyone goes away with good knowledge and with information. So the questions that we ask ourselves as marketers and salespeople: who is my target market? Where is my target market? How can I reach the target market? What are the projected sales in my target market? And what are the latest sales trends for my industry? Now, that last point is going to come into where there's always going to be market research. So this is a heavy market research type of presentation. And I believe in it, because without market research, you won't know who to sell to. You don't know when they're going to buy, what they're buying, or where. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay, Terrence, the only other thing I wanted to add to diversify your client bases is that, I can't echo that enough with you. I've worked with so many business owners that they have a key client that they've worked with, and it's more than 50% of their customer base. And so if there's anyone on the call that's in that kind of situation, it's just know that, this learning from Terrence, working on that, diversifying your customer base, is possible over time. And, once you recognize that it's a necessary, then of course you're going to use these tools to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And thank you, Vivian. Thank you for the reinforcement. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let's move on. Demographics. These are our terms, marketing terms, that I want you to really understand. Demographics, and we talk about demographics, and then people, they're like, yeah, the demographics, but I want you to understand the science of it. And hold on, and stop right there at that first point. I love this. I love this aspect of marketing and sales, because my background is in GIS mapping. And this is how you uncover so much about your customers to where you can almost tell them about themselves. So demographics, it refers to age, sex, income, education, marital status, the size of the household, geographic location, and the profession. So when you talk about and you hear the term demographics, it encompasses all of those. Next line, psychographics, the personality and emotional behavior of the customer. What do they like to read? Where do they like to go? What do they do in their spare time? Are they risk takers? Are they adverse from risk, impulsive or not? You need to understand exactly how your customer buys. Next, their lifestyle, very important. It's extremely important. That top 1% of the population, their lifestyle, and of course, we all have heard this term of there's 6 degrees of separation between people. But hey, that top 1%, I don't know of any of my friends that have, 125-foot yachts, or either that have private jets or other things, and that can even take a space ride to a ride to outer space for that matter. However, their lifestyle, a person's lifestyle dictates exactly how and what they do, their hobbies, what do they do in their spare time. That's very important to know, because when you engage in a conversation or a sales presentation with a customer, you can contour that to their liking. So, if I'm in the top 1%, hey, and I like to yacht, you're going to kind of twist the presentation in that way. Belief and value systems. Important, and it's very dicey to discuss now. However, with your customer base, you have to sit and think about how do you broach and extract those elements and elements of information from the buyer, because it is a very, very volatile subject. Religion, politics, cultural beliefs, it's a very hot topic, but you will have to sit and think about how would you want it presented to you, and that's the best way to present it to the customer. Nothing that will, because if you're insulted by it, you can assure yourself that the customer is going to be rather taken aback by it as well. So we want to be very mindful, but we do need to have that information because it all boils down to the sale. The life stage. Where are they in their lives? Example, we buy a car. It was once upon a time when I would love to have the best looking car, or either the shiniest car, the one with the biggest tires or the wheels or the shiniest wheel. But as you grow older, those things are not important to you anymore. And so you need to understand where your customer is in that life stage. What are they doing in their lives? What's most important to them? Okay, and these are the research and analysis points that I want you to cover whenever you're doing market research on customers. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Geographic research, and it's site prospecting, customer prospecting, and competition prospecting and analysis. Okay, site prospecting, and I created this presentation because we're in the throes of migrating from a very heavy brick and mortar environment to now it's more online centric. And so things have changed, but site prospecting is very important because there is a thing called location, 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 and that is very real. That statement is as real as rain. And even though things are moving to a more internet-based or either web-based sales environment or marketing and sales environment, you still want to know where to locate. Hypothetically, if you have a food truck, where are you gonna place the food truck for that day, or what will your route be? Because not every area will accept a food truck, and some of the residents in certain areas may not buy from food trucks. So you have to really take that into consideration. Let's go to the next slide. Let's get deep into the weeds of this. Okay, I have a rendering, a rough rendering of Los Angeles County. I took a zip code of 90008. Okay, and this is an example of how I would like to encourage you or recommend that you drill down to identify who those customers are. The yellow ring is a 5-mile radius. The red ring is a 3-mile. The blue ring is a 1-mile. Of course, I have already taken the liberty of identifying a prospective location so that we can cover the site identification, customer identification, and competitors analysis. Hypothetically, in this situation, I operate an auto repair shop, okay? So I need to find customers that are actually doing a lot of auto repair. They have a need for auto repair, and I would like for them to be within a mile from me. I would love for them to be within that mile, but if they're 3 miles out, that customer may have a tendency to find someone else on the way. And if they're 5 miles out, then of course, then that customer may require more intense marketing efforts. And there again, we go back and fold back into that previous discussion and session that brings in the social media marketing, because that can get geographic specific. Okay. Now I've identified the zip codes, and I want you to understand the whole purpose of this. There are different levels of geography. Okay, we have block groups. Well, first off is that you have block groups, you have census tracts, you have zip codes, then you have cities, counties, states, and then of course the nation. In this particular scenario, we're identifying based on zip codes. And remember, my target is in 90008. That is when my actual location, my brick and mortar location is. Let's go to the next slide. I've mapped them. And as you can see, my node is in 90008. I found a great location for an auto repair. And hey, and the size is perfect. And this is my site. I can really find this as being my home and my starting place, or either my place of business to expand the business. Click again. Now I want to layer. I'm layering customers, okay? These green dots, it's a dot density. So now I have identified customers that are within that layer. The red is heavy concentration of customers that may hypothetically have their car repaired more than 3 times a year. So I'm in a hot area. I'm in a super hot area. It's on fire, it's red. The dark area is a medium. So they're more outside of my 1 mile radius. And then of course, the tan area, they may have areas to where there may not be a lot of residential concentration there. It may be a lot of industrial parks or either corporations. And of course, those are either is people that don't necessarily drive a lot, or either they have cars that they have not driven, or either they take their car to a specific location, hopefully a 90008. So I've identified my location as being in 90008. I've identified the customers, the density of the customers who buy auto repair services more than 3 times a year. And so now I'm getting closer to the real meat of the matter here. Let's go to the next. Here's my competitors and my customers. Now, I just threw this particular list up because, of course, and I have it as customer list, and it should be a competitor list, and excuse it. However, I wanted to identify who my competitors are. So I have all of the auto repair, gasoline service stations, auto repairs, and you have their business name, you have their trade style name, their location, the state they're in, the line of business, and of course, their projected sales or annual sales. Now, you're wondering, how did he get this information? And the information is readily accessible, and we'll discuss that. You also want to know how many employees they have. How many employees, if it's a large shop, if it's a small shop. And then that way you can kind of begin to, you can almost go out and you can segment these competitors in such a way to where maybe the larger shops are not they service customers that are not on your primary hit list. However, those that have smaller locations and that have smaller employee sizes, you may want to go pick a fight with them, so to speak, in a very crass term, to where how can you tap into their business and what are they doing for their customers? Let's go to the next slide. I want to stop there and let's talk about the information. If everyone has a pen and paper handy, or either if you like, you would be able to email me and I can provide you with all of the links. There's so many and they have to be explained, but there's one link in particular. I want you to go to esri.com. Mapping, folks, we call it ESRI, okay, environmental science. This is a software that you can utilize online to actually build maps, just like I did. I have the software, they have it online, and you can actually purchase your map and your demographic information, your psychographic information, your competitor information. You can layer it all in directly through ESRI. And the term that you want to use is business analyst or either business research. So they have a tool at esri.com to where you can access this information online without a problem, and you can build your own studies. Now, the data, where do I get the data from? There are different data sources. One is CACI, C-A-C-I. The other is Claritas. The other is Dun & Bradstreet. You have different resources, American demographics, American business information. You have Hoover's, you have all of these different data sources, and you can extract that information directly from them. You can purchase it by the record, and then in some cases, you can just download that information. A lot of cases, not American demographics, it's the phone directory, the American phone directory site, to where you can actually download a list and you can actually, in a certain zip code or geographic area, and you can use that to layer into the map through the ESRI capabilities in their application. So market research is the key. If you want to make sales, understand the customer. You want to understand the customer better than they understand themselves. You want to know what they buy, how often they buy, when they buy, how much, who do they buy for? Who knows, they may be buying for someone else. These are the things that you want to flesh out with the market research. Let's go to the next slide.
So Terrence, before we jump to the next slide, I just wanted
Sure.
to share with people the importance of market research, but also the resources that you shared. And I know that they will have your contact information at the end, because
Sure.
Terrence has really he's an expert in really looking at data sources and also looking at that market research piece. I've seen him where he's helped companies not just with site selection, but also this example that he had was a business to consumer, but you can also use this data on service businesses. So the idea of it is to know where the resources are for the data, and also how you might be able to do that to make sure that you have a good target market list of customers or clients to go after. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I thought this was, and just as some after tidbits and notes, I read an article in LinkedIn, very interesting. And this gentleman, Alejandro Cabral, very interesting article and statement that he makes here. Customers say, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to click once and buy it. The customer has changed way faster than the salespeople have, especially in the B2B space and also in the B2C space, because for that matter, I don't know about anyone else, but my wife has taken online shopping, I think, to another level, honestly, because I've never seen it. In fact, momentarily, I'm considering a cardboard compactor, because we have all of the cardboard we can recycle here at my place. And it's a powerful acknowledgement, because it means that we need to run faster, because customers are needing us less and less every single day. They need us less because of online shopping experiences. And besides that, through now that we're in this, are we in post-pandemic or either pre-post-pandemic, people have become more accustomed to making the purchase without having someone encourage them. So your benefit statement, your introductory benefit statement that you're providing to the customer, it has to be spot on, and it has to be spot on to the point to where it directs the customer to where you want them to go to make the purchase. One more click. Provide quality products and services. Click. Promotion. Target customers must always be aware of your products and services. Price. Do it cheaper with a better value than your competition. Placement and distribution. Make it easy for your customers to access your products and services, just like in the map. Go right ahead, next. I put this in large text with an exclamation point behind it. Folks, please gather informal market research regularly from your customers, directly from the customer. And what I mean by that, it's okay if you have a brick and mortar location. Ask the customer, what zip code do they live in? You don't have to know their address. You just need to know the zip code. because one thing that we have to depend on is some of these old analogies and sayings that we've heard when we were kids. Birds of a feather flock together. Hey, if I buy a yacht, I can promise you, if I live in a certain zip code, I have neighbors that do. They yacht as well. Hey, if I own an airplane, I promise you, some of my neighbors own an airplane. Okay? Just market research, understand how many people do they have in the family, and non-intrusive type questions, not to know their telephone number. You don't necessarily need, it's good to have their email so that you can send broadcasts to them. However, you need to know the zip code, and you need to know how many people are in the household. And if you want to ask what their disposable income is, or either where they are in the income strata, that's perfectly fine as well. But the least and the least asked and the best questions are the ones that are hard-hitting, transparent, and straightforward. How often do you buy? Where do you buy from? What zip code do you live in? How many people in the household? And that should give you, if it's a consumer product, that should give you a pretty good idea. Next slide. I want you to know that there's a big difference between knowing and understanding. It's a huge difference. You understand your customer now. I want you to know your customer. I want you to know them. You don't have to know them by name, but I want you to know them so well so that when someone comes to you and they say, hey, your customer would love, and you can say, no, they won't. I know my customer, they won't buy this. Know your overall customer base. Know your target customers. Know your sales force. Know your external support services, and stop right there. Hold on. Hold your position. This is extremely important because in today's world, you're only as successful as your supply chain. You have people that are doing things for you, such as your employees, your outside consultants, your suppliers of goods and services or provisions, external business support providers, such as your accountant, your attorney, whatever, your business consultant, whoever they may be, or whatever services you're purchasing, you have to know them. Next, click one again. And this is an absolute. Know your competition. Know your competition. How do you know them? You know them through the previous slide of actually acquiring that customer, that informal customer research data, that background research on the customer, because once you know the customer, you can ask them, hey, who did you normally go to for the repair of your car? Oh, I went to Martin Cadillac. Oh, I went to the Chevrolet dealer. Oh, I went to a private individual. And you don't, and even if they don't tell you who it is, at least you have some culture as to how they're spending their money and their threshold of pain, because you know if they go to a dealer, the dealer is extremely expensive. It's extreme, so you know their threshold of pain as far as cost is concerned. Let's click one more. Any questions?
Okay,
I'm
so
open for them.
this is an opportunity for people to put a question in the chat or in the Q&A section if you would like. I don't see any questions right now, but we can give people a minute.
And Vivian, if I may,
Sure.
speak to the B2B and B2G opportunities or sales. We didn't cover in this session because it would have really taken a lot of time. However, I impress upon each and every one of you, if you're not certified, if you are a minority or a woman-owned firm or a disabled vet or a veteran-owned business or a small business, obtain your certifications. Small business certifications, you don't necessarily have to be in one of the presumptive minority groups. You can be a small business and be non-minority. Also, one other category is the disadvantaged category. Minority, women, disadvantaged, disabled vets, veteran, small business, and local small business. We want to focus, and if you can, and if it's applicable, and I promise you it is, get your certifications, get your certification, and also know your NAICS code, because all of that is going to help you identify additional opportunities that are contractual type opportunities. That's the space that I'm primarily working in. Now, there was once upon a time, my background is from grocery and from food service. I have a very extensive background in the grocery business, and I understand the customer interaction with consumers, and I understand very well the customer interaction with government buyers and also commercial businesses. So my contact information is on the screen. Please use it. My email is tpayne1@tmminfo.biz, or you can always reach me through the LBCEI.
Great. Thanks, Terrence. So Terrence, I have a couple of questions for you, because one of them is that you just mentioned about certification. And so for people that are on that may want to get started in certification or strengthen that certification, where would they start?
They would start, in fact, start with your local municipality, and then also soul search as to what type of contracts you would like to pursue. If you would like to pursue government-related contracts, say for instance, that are related to the infrastructure spending that's on the Hill being discussed now, I can promise you that those opportunities, they could very well require a DBE certification, disadvantaged business certification. The disadvantaged business certification is one that if you have a personal net worth that's less than 1.32 million, and that excluding your primary residence and your ownership interest in the business, then you qualify. In addition to that, if you're one of the presumptive groups of disadvantage, that being Black American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Native American, Aleut, Eskimo, you're good. You automatically are in the presumptive group, okay? If you're a woman-owned business, go get the woman-owned business certification. WEBAC is a great organization to touch bases with. If you're seeking commercial opportunities, say for instance, we have a minority certification and we just received an opportunity from MGM, okay, from the resorts. They don't look at DBE certification. They're not looking at a government agency minority certification. I would recommend that you go to the Association for Supplier Development, the Minority Association for Supplier, Southern California, the Southern California Supplier Development Council. I would definitely approach them. They have a fee for their certification. However, they have a very rich pool of opportunities and companies that they would be more than happy to connect you with, that being MGM, all of the gaming companies, and even a lot of the large private companies such as Honda, Toyota, Nissan, and many others.
So what's interesting though, from what Terrence has shared is that, you know, as you can see, this could be a whole nother session on certifications, looking at ways to go through local government, state government, and federal government to look at potential customers. So just know that those kinds of resources are out there. And there are many different seminars that are put on. We may do the same thing where we do something specifically with you, Terrence, on looking at certifications. You also mentioned before capabilities statements, which are really important once an organization gets certified. But we want people to know, we want business owners to know that these are paths as you're looking at the strengthening your business, that you can look at ways to be able to work with local, state, and federal governments. And I'll give you an example of something that is local, which is interesting, is a grocery store. Because Terrence, you mentioned that you were in the grocery business. Is, what ends up happening is sometimes you might see that there's a corner grocery store, and that they're serving business to consumer. But there are grants that have been out there, especially because of COVID, that are assisting grocery stores or retail stores to be able to get access to grants. And so what we want you to know is that there are a lot of different avenues for you to look at expanding your base of clients and customers. And it can be through not either certifications or not certifications. Another avenue you may want to go to is very quick. If you would like to think about getting information and resources on government type projects, local government is the Port of Long Beach has self-certification where you can go in. It's a very easy application. But once you get into their Planet Bids database, then what ends up happening is you still have to do all the things that you need to do as far as putting together your capability statements, as well as doing your research on what types of projects you would like. But it's an easy step to go in to do self-certification first, and then get resources, meaning information, emails about what Terrence mentioned, the NACE code. The NACE code is really important so they know what products and services that you would like to be able to provide to these agencies. So, and I know you had Terrence here today. Want to make sure that he could share that other information that he has, because Terrence, maybe you can share some of the various clients that you've worked with when it comes to selling to the government.
Absolutely. And beforehand, I wanted to point everyone to the chat. I sent a link and it's directly to our website, and that's where you can look at the comparisons and you can look at the side by side of all of the certifications that are out there, what the basic requirements are, and just click on the link and you can go out and you can take a look at that. The clients that we work with now, and in fact, we've made a very definite pivot in our marketing and sales scheme, because before we were just like everyone else. We were going to all of the events, the networking events, what they call belly to belly meetings, pressing flesh, shaking hands, and doing all of those things. And it just shifted all of a sudden at the point of COVID. However, and I'm looking at the cursor. However, the pivot we made was to migrate all of our products and services online to where we can actually obtain a sale. We can achieve that sale, we can attract a customer, and then we can also track the progress of the work that we're doing for that customer. So we work with government. We work with everyone from Camp Pendleton, ESRI, we work with them as well. SAIC, government contractors such as that, Northrop, the Department of Water and Power, the Ohio State, Texas A&M. We picked up some very, very strong and quality customers. However, we did that through our pivot and by offering everything that we can possibly offer online. So we made the pivot. You can make the pivot. However, in order to make that pivot, make absolutely certain that you have the tools in place. I would highly recommend that you look at a CRM application. If you have an accounting system, a basic accounting system, even QuickBooks Online, that works perfectly. Those two together with your website, it will help you manage the flow, and also help you track the iterations that you have with your customers. So your CRM should be able to capture everything that you're doing with the customer, from every invoice, estimate, sales order that you generate, and POs for your vendors. Everything that you're doing to facilitate that sale. I can't impress upon you how important a CRM application really is, and it's truly a lifesaver. It's truly a lifesaver. In fact, I think about it now, and once upon a time, we were doing everything on Excel practically, and we are either going out and developing these elaborate databases in Access or SQL or what have you. Now you have a tool that you can actually use. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe QuickBooks even offers a tool that functions like a CRM. And what the CRM does is that it basically manages the customer relationship between you and that customer, so that you can have other folks working with the customer. And if there are things that you need to do, you can do it, and you can assign it, say, for instance, to me. And I may have a piece to do with that customer, and I can assign it to Vivian. And that way there's always continuity moving with that particular customer's project, and also with the customer, so that they will know that you're working on their project. Because you remember back in that very first slide, I think it was the first slide, and we talked about the trust. That's how you build the trust in today's world, because you don't have the opportunity to see them. So how else do you build a trust? You have to let them know that, hey, I'm working on your project, and that this is what I'm doing, and it should be completed. And those messages can be executed by the CRM. So we work with government. I would recommend that you get a CRM application, because there are a lot of moving parts with government. It can even include liens on projects and things of that nature. So I recommend that you do that. But back to the certification, and I hate to vacillate back and forth. Please sit down, soul search. Who do you want? First off, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then who do you want to sell yourself to, or the business to, in the days in between that time that you grow up? And that's how you define what you're going to do and how you're going to go about doing it, and also the certifications that you're going to need. We have several certifications because we're dabbling in different buckets. So we work a lot on the infrastructure projects here in Los Angeles and other places as well. However, we also do commercial work as well. One other thing, and I wanted to say this, and Vivian and I, we have these great conversations, and philosophical and intuitive conversations. Great person to know, and a great business mind. However, what we were talking about was the notion of how the business is acquired now. And sure, we have certifications, we have all of these various tools. However, you really, really need to barrel down and identify what your NAICS codes are going to be before you can actually get the certifications. There's one other aspect to the certification, and that's called a commercially useful function. And remember that a CUF is what it's called, CUF. So you want to make sure that whatever NAICS code that you're selecting and the certification that you're applying it to, that you have the ability to perform to the commercially useful function level that you should as a business, and not as what they call, and it's a bad word to mention, but as a pass-through for a larger company. This is how you acquire large business without being placated and then disregard it at the end of the day when it's time to get paid. Another way to leverage that certification is by taking it to your manufacturers. We always look at the up and down the street business. And if you're in government contracting or commercial contracting, we always look at the up and down the street business. But let me be very honest with you. The larger companies and your suppliers, Westinghouse, for me, it's like Westinghouse, Eaton, Lenovo, Hewlett Packard, Price Pfister, all of these companies on large projects, believe it or not, they're already aware of them. They're aware of those projects in most cases. So you want to leverage that certification and go to the manufacturer, not only the end user, but go to the manufacturer, because they can bring validity as to who you are and what you're doing, and also provide a great deal of credibility to your company if you can earn their trust. So sales, a lot of fun. This is more fun than you can shake a stick at, but I can tell you this, it's no fun and it's a nightmare if you don't have the tools in place, and if you don't look at it from the standpoint of solving a problem for the customer and giving them a solution. So with that said, I stop.
Terrence, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time today to share not only your knowledge and experience, but also some really great tools that you have shared for people to really get in that mode of growth in their business through sales. And so thanks so much for taking the time. As many of you can see on the screen here, we have his contact information, Terrence's contact information. Go over and take a look at his website. Also, there are a lot of great resources on there. And if you would like to be in touch with them, you can contact them directly. You can also contact us through the Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion. If you would like to run any questions by us, we're happy to take those questions. I'm happy to assist you also. We also have our business navigators to the Long Beach Center of Economic Inclusion that can assist you. And as you know, these are different times, they're challenging times. We're all working together to support small business owners and to make sure that you grow your businesses. So if you'd like to see the other webinars that we started with vision, mission, and values, traditional marketing, social media marketing, and then with sales here with Terrence, that all will be posted on the website. And it can give you, what I find is, I'll share this with you, is some days when you're in the trenches, growing your business, running your business, you need a little bit of inspiration and information. So take these tools and use this. I go and look at TED Talks sometimes, but whatever it takes for you to be able to get in there and grow your business, just know that we are here to support you. So thanks all for being here today. I see one of our business navigators here, Mike Cano, is a great resource for you. And thanks again, Terrence. Thanks so much for your help. Okay.
And thank you, Vivian. God bless you all. Take care, and kudos to LBCEI. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, have a great day now. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.